You're live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow sewing enthusiasts. We are here this week with Quiltsmart. Very excited to share today's Inspired By with you, Inspired by Free Spirits. I'm Sharon Thornton, and Quiltsmart is with us this week, like I said, and we're excited to have them. We are going to be featuring a couple of fabrics that are delivering to quilt shops this month. One of which is Kathy Dowdy. This fabric over here, I'm going to move my camera just a little bit here so you can see it. It is called Earth Made Paradise. I don't know how well you can all see it. That's only part of the collection. It's a total of 18 SKUs. I couldn't get them all up, but there's a nice sampling of all these gorgeous fabrics, and Maddie's going to be showing us what she made in them. And the other fabrics over here on the other side are Adrienne Lieben, and this is called BioGeo 1. And they're very, very modern contemporary fabrics, which we love, and I hope you can see them. And Maddie's done some fantastic projects out of these fabrics that we are looking forward to sharing with you today. And these fabrics deliver, like I said, they both deliver this month in March 2021. Adrienne's are 7 SKUs and Kathy Dowdy has 18 SKUs. So if you're interested in seeing any of this fabric or this collection after today, go to your local quilt shop. They will be more than happy to assist you in getting the fabrics, or reach out to freespiritfabrics.com and you can look on our website to see what we have, not only in this collection or these collections, but also all of our collections, all of our designs and everything that's coming up. So I am here in Charlotte, North Carolina today. It is a beautiful day. Finally, we're in March and I think it's 70 something degrees. And Maddie's coming to us from Bend, Oregon. I don't know what the temperature is there, but we surely would love to hear from all of you and tell us where you're from. We always love to know. Send us hearts, send us thumbs up like we ask every week. We will be posting this to our social media websites afterwards. It will be on our Facebook group. It will be on Instagram. It will be on YouTube. And Maddie will also be posting to her social media websites as well after we are done today. So if you have any questions about Quiltsmart, just go to quiltsmart.com and you can see all of their products and inspiration and videos and everything there. So without further ado, Maddie, I am going to try and take myself off of Spotlight Video and send it over to you. So hold on one second here.
It's okay now.
Let me see. I think it's still me, but I am not sure. Give me 1 second. Yes, I believe it's you now.
I think it's me because it's big.
Yes. So welcome to our Inspired by Free Spirit Fabrics. We are thrilled to have you, Maddie, and for you to share with us your Quiltsmart product and tell us all about your patterns and your foundations and how you do your technique. But before we do that, we want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and then ease your way into all of that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Sharon, for having us and for connecting with us to make this happen, because it was a wonderful partnership of some old friends, new friends, and it was just so fun to work with these fabrics too. So it was to give an opportunity and a challenge, because you're trying to put someone else's ideas of their fabric into your designs, and that is something I always love doing. And I really think we did a great job. I must say, everybody, it's not just me, everybody that works with me, Terry, Lavelle, Debbie, everybody, Donna, and you know, it's a whole village. You know, it takes a village to make a quilt. So it was not to mention Kathy Dowdy, who did the fabrics, and Adrienne, who did the BioGeo. So it was really fun to do. But so Quiltsmart started about 25 years ago. And before it started, when I was 11, I wanted to learn to sew. And I didn't know how to learn to sew. My mother had an old Kenmore and she used it for mending. And I kept asking her, teach me to sew, but she wasn't a sewer. She just mended stuff. And I was in Girl Scouts. And one day the Girl Scout leader said, you need a skirt to go up to the next level, and you can either make it or buy it. So I went home and lied to my mother and said, we need to make a Girl Scout skirt and we get a sewing badge for it. And she said, well, I can't believe they would make you make a skirt. They sell them. And I said, oh, no, we have to make it. And so she begrudgingly took me to Joanne Fabrics, which was kind of new at that time. That was a long time ago. And we bought everything, the pattern, everything. And she did help me go through it. But the whole time she was saying, I can't believe that they would say, what about the people that don't have sewing machines? And I'm like, I don't know, Mom. So anyways, we made the skirt and I loved sewing. So I kept going with different projects and was the only person in my family that sewed, kind of took over my mom's sewing machine. What I learned is that I didn't like the way that patterns were written. It's like, why do it the hard way? Why not do it easier? And I found that I kind of took that as a sewing mantra, if you will, into my more adult life, and trying to, if I used a pattern, I would make it simpler. One day I was looking at the double wedding ring and thinking, those curves are really a problem, and came up with the idea of setting the rings on top of fabric. And so that's kind of how the thought of it went. But we didn't want to trace the interfacing. Of course, that would be too hard. So I got into screen printing the interfacing. And back in the day, I would call it a good day if I could print one book, like say the double wedding ring book, one copy, or maybe 6 if it went well, and one bolt of interfacing in the kitchen, doing it by hand, screen printing it with 2 people. And the book, so it was, you had to flip the odd and even pages, and I would then pack everything up and go to the post office, and that was a good day if I could do one bolt and a few books. Now we do quite a few and have a warehouse. And I did dance the first time I had a loading dock. I danced on the loading dock, and I thought, okay, this is really weird. I could get excited about having a loading dock.
Well, it means you're in business, right?
Yeah. So it evolved into a whole business. This is not, I started out as a special education teacher. And I tell my students when I teach quilting, I say, you don't have to worry because I'm a special ed teacher. So I can work with anybody. But basically it's, why do it the hard way? Why you want the same result? Why curve piece? Now, if someone's listening that doesn't know anything about quilting and you're thinking about getting into quilting, you might say, well, I don't know what curve piecing is. And what I've heard a lot is what we do. One young quilter said to me, well, why would you do it any other way? And I said, well, they used to. That is how they used to do it. But sometimes it was tools or the machines, something like that they didn't have. So, but anyways, it evolved into this business 25 years later, where I thought, okay, let's, do a few patterns. We started out with a few patterns. We had 4, flower garden, drunkard's path, 8-point star, and double wedding ring. So, but I always wanted to do a giant double wedding ring, because in the beginning of, say, the whole double wedding ring crazy phase, they kind of had 2 sizes, which we do now too. They had this great big one, which is represented behind me. And I'm 5'2", so that gives you an idea of how big it is.
It's a big one.
Except it's 6 inches off the floor. So anyways, it gives you an idea. So I am so excited that there's somebody I should mention, Julie Dest in Montana, who owns with Donna Bristow a shop called Montana Long Arm Quilting. And she keeps saying to me, let's do, and she says, like, whatever I'm doing. And she says, let's only do it big. And so that's why the big bright star and my big fat double wedding ring, or my big fat wedding ring, came about is because I had a customer, started out as a customer, now she's a good friend. And that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. I like that.
It is.
So because of Julie and everybody that I work with, we were able to get this done. Now, one of the things that I love about this particular pattern is that the rings, we decided, Lavelle helped with that decision, that the rings would go into a border of a different fabric. The other thing was, when you're working with new fabrics, you tell the, like I told Sharon, I told her exactly what I needed, and she sent exactly what I asked for, which was wonderful. And then we changed our minds on how to do it.
Of course, it's your prerogative when you're quilting, right? Why wouldn't you?
Then we said, okay, but how can we work with what we've got? And that's the part I really love. And that you can see, I think that in the bottom part, we've switched it out to another one, but I just love how you get that movement of this particular quilt. So what I'd like to do first is we're going to go through these fabrics, and I'll show you what we've done with these. We've got a couple projects with these. This is the pattern for this project. This pattern is for actually a little bit smaller one. It's 9 full circles, and what you're seeing here is 16 full circles. And you said it was there's 18 SKUs.
Yes.
I'm not sure why, but we used 17. So I don't,
maybe we
don't
missed
exactly
one,
remember why that would be. But.
You did a great job, nonetheless. We wouldn't know.
No, and so there's 16 rings, and they're each different fabric. And I'm going to talk to you about those too. And the way that they play together, I just love how they do that. You can see how some are directional prints. I'll show you how to do that today. I'm not going to show you exactly how to make the quilt. We have some different videos you can watch online, and the instructions inside here are really good about that. On the back, it gives you a little pictorial, and it also shows you the quilt. I don't know if we can, of me standing in front of that size of quilt.
Wow.
And also, you can actually make up to a king on that. That's in the instructions. You just add borders around, so the rings would sit on top of the bed. So this has all the yardages and everything. The pack comes with the interfacing that you need to make these sizes on the back. This one, you would need what we call an add-on pack. So if you want this size, which is a king, you would want to get the add-on pack and this one. Okay, so here is a piece of what you get inside. You get 8 of these. I'm hoping you can see the lines okay there. It's a little hard on the video. Does that show up okay, Sharon?
Yeah, if you could hold it still. Yeah, just hold it still for a second. And pull it in a little closer. Yeah, we can see the line. So there's a solid line, there's a dashed line to sew on, I assume.
Right, and some dots. So, and some, now there's also some marking lines. We put everything on here that you would need to make this easy. So, and you've got 8 of those panels in there. Now on the interfacing, you have 6 arcs. 4 fit beautifully on a fat quarter. So each of these are a fat quarter. So you just lay it down and stitch on the line, cut it out, and you've got 4 arcs. Unless you do something like work with directional prints or fussy cut prints. Probably can't see the little mermaid there.
I can see. I know what she looks
really
like.
Good.
I see her in there.
See how the birds are all going the same way?
Uh-huh.
Now, I wouldn't normally in my own personal quilts like care if they're all going the same way, but the more we worked with this fabric, the more that we thought that it did have kind of a, if we went light to dark, that we would want them to go that way. The directional, you know, see, we've got this going this way, this going that way.
Yeah.
I didn't want the stripe to go this way, but that's everybody's choice. You can also see how this plaid is going horizontal and vertical, and this plaid is on a diagonal. So you can really do anything you want there. So this one shows on how I've got the interfacing against the directional print.
Right. Can you pull that in?
Going the other way.
Maddie? So maybe we can see it. Yeah, we can see the lines on that and how it, so this irons onto the fabric, correct?
No.
Oh,
Good question. We have sort of two different methods in general. And then they break down into maybe 6 or 8 different methods. This one, you could technically iron it, but you're not ironing the pattern. You could technically take an iron and iron outside of the pattern just to hold it on so you don't have to pin it. But you do not iron first. You place it first and you sew it. The other one that we're going to show with the BioGeo, you do iron first. So there's two different.
Okay.
So we've had people think that they've made like a Lone Star, and then they go to make a double wedding ring and they iron it all down, and nobody reads instructions. So then we go and we read the instructions and they go, oops. So I really do like to tell people to read the instructions because it might not be. We are easy. Quiltsmart is very, very easy, fast. Not. It's just not frustrating, but not intuitive. So that's why you want to read the instructions. We get a lot of our, not a lot, but I would say one of our comments that I cringe at when I hear is, I've been sewing for 25 years and I think, because that's the person that thinks they know everything.
Right.
And Quiltsmart is much different. It's easier. So you can't take the knowledge that you have from sewing regular patterns and just make it without instructions. So this one
thing I'd like to say really quick, if you don't mind, is I'm just sitting here laughing as you're saying that no one, some people don't read the instructions. And it's just because, we're visual learners, we think we know, and then we just start sewing and then we're like, oops. But
I found myself saying to someone not too long ago, and I don't remember what it was about, I've been doing something for so many years, and then I was like, oops, don't say that.
Right.
I think it's a computer.
Right.
Don't say that. Okay, so you can see the little, she's kind of a combination of a fairy and a mermaid right here.
Yes, we can see it through
you don't
there.
want to like cut off her head or anything. So this would be a fussy cut. Very easy because obviously you can see through the interfacing. So you can get that to line up however you want. The way that you do all of this is you're going to then stitch on the solid lines and trim on the dashed lines. So this piece is already trimmed. Basically what we're making is an applique.
Right.
Then you turn it right side out. And these stickers are for me as much as they are for everyone else. You turn it right side out and you finger press it. Now, the reason you're going to finger press it is to get that interfacing just a hair to the back. You can see just a teeny tiny bit of fabric there. And if that's that way, then you know that you've got it to the back. Now, what it's my product. I love it. It's easy, but you don't want it to show. So it's
right.
I hired someone at a trade show booth once, and I heard her say the very first customer comes up and she goes, this person who's great and now still a friend, she goes, look at this, it's ugly. And I'm like, and she said, and now I'm going to show you why you're going to love it. She's still a great customer. Anyways, so now the fusible, because we do this on fusible. I've tried using some patterns without the fusible, and I always go to the fusible. It always seems to be helpful for the pattern. So the fusible's on the back, okay? And and you can turn it just with your hands. You don't need a special tool or anything. It turns very nicely. This one I just wanted to show you because the budgies, if you're depending on how you want them, that would be right side up. You could have had it like this. Your choice, but it is easy to directionally cut it. You will want a little bit more fabric if you do that, because obviously if you're going to be turning it this way and that way, or cutting the little fairies, you are going to use a little bit more fabric. we made this entire quilt with a half a yard of each of these fabrics.
Wow.
And yeah, that was it. So now you are going to take that piece and you are going to fuse it to the back of a background square, 4 of them. You're going to overlap where you want. We show you in the instructions to overlap always one way. So this piece always overlaps to the right. Makes it really easy, but you don't have to do that. You could get a lot of different looks in a different way. So you fuse it.
So Maddie,
the corners line up perfectly on an 18-inch square. This is all figured out when we do the pattern, and we went back and forth about how big should the square be, how big should the arc be, how wide should the arc be. So we've done all that for you. So made it really, really easy. No curve piecing. You fuse this down, you zigzag along the edge, just a narrow little zigzag. That's all in the instructions. And I'll show you that up close. I don't know if, well, you probably can't see it. The point is I use invisible thread. So.
Oh, I thought you meant just up close. Yeah.
You can use like a silk thread or a very thin thread. There's lots of different threads you could use. You could even use a decorative stitch if you wanted to. But the invisible is still nice. If you have an old one, an old school, like 10, 15 years old, you might want to put that in the fishing tackle box and just leave it alone. Some of those melted when they first came out.
I remember that.
But the invisible is nice. It's hard to find sometimes. But I mean, hard to find because you can't see it. My son, when he was 6, I said to him, "Hey, Ted, would you go get my invisible thread?" And he said, "Yeah, right, Mom." But I do like invisible thread. I want to show you how this fits in the quilt now. So it looks like all circles, right? All curves. And that's your square. So you can see how the circles continue.
Right.
And all it did was make squares.
Wow, that's awesome.
We had a question about how much background fabric. It's an 18-inch square, so you can get 2 backgrounds for every half yard. So 1 yard is 4 backgrounds. And the reason I can't give you the exact yardage, I mean, I put on here, this one's for a little bit smaller quilt. It is, the background is sticky. Well, you can use fat quarters. You'll have a little left over, but you know, you put those into the next project I'm going to show you, and you'd be fine with that. So 16 fat quarters for 4 yards. And the bigger the quilt gets, the, you know, obviously the more background. Right.
More fabric.
But you need to think of it as 1 yard, 4 squares.
Right.
So I also wanted to show, because when we do these kinds of things, I try to show you things that are you might not get even when you watch a video or the instructions. You might get a little bit extra. This one I am quilting. I'm quilting this one as I go, so a lap quilting. Yeah, that's not showing up real well. In any case, this is such a nice big block that you could do lap quilting with it too. So that's something to keep in mind. So I have these 2 squares sewn together, and again, you can see how they still fit in.
Wow, that's nice, Maddie.
Thank you, Sharon.
I
All
like
right, so the back of the square, we get this question sometimes. Do you cut out the back of the square? And we did on this one. You don't have to, because it's just 2 layers of fabric and interfacing, but you can. And just leave generous seam allowances, because you don't want that to, you want it to be structural. But when you cut out the back of this particular quilt, you end up with this really cool piece that happens to be able to cut 2.5 inches out of it. So you can take all those 2.5-inch squares and put them in your 2.5-inch square box.
Yes.
Then you can make one of these. So we have, I'm sorry, everybody, we have a little bit of a technical problem right now, because we were not technical. We were going to put the questions on a whiteboard, but because of the lighting, I can't see it. So we're going to fix that, and I will get to the questions as soon as we as soon as I can read them.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can't even
so-
see my own
Sorry, sure.
questions, Maddie, so don't worry about it.
Am I putting the squares together? You do put the squares together just with a 1/4" seam, and it's easy to match them. So you're after you lay it out, I just like to use the floor or a design wall works great. If you have patio doors with a curtain, you can pin them on that. And then that's for all the sewing I've done in the last many years since I was 11. So that would be like 30 years, right? No, I have found that the best thing I like to do is that WYSIWYG thing. What you see is what you get. Just lay it out somewhere because that's what you get. And then put your background squares together, right sides together, and sew, put them back where they were. So I'm not sure if that was the answer to that question or not, but that you do end up putting them right sides together. Also with the quilt lap as you go kind of thing, the lap quilting, you would. Okay, so you can take those 2.5" squares, and if you have any questions, and you just post them, and somebody will answer them either right now, or I will, or we'll get to later. But you can just post them. So take your 2.5" squares of any of your background, and you can make these cute little projects with that. This is our biddy bag.
I love that.
Our Mondo bag. And
Yeah.
so I'll show you just a little bit about those.
Hey, Maddie.
So, yes.
Before you go on, I just wanted to make tell you a couple comments from some of the viewers. Elaine Bird said, my first wedding ring I made for my youngest 20 years ago was made using Quiltsmart. It was so much easier. I used it also to make a drunkard's path for a granddaughter later who loved it. So you have a 20-year fan watching right now. And then Mary,
really nice.
Mary Frericks, I am making a Lone Star quilt with your product and I like the process. So you've got some people watching that, you don't even have to convince. They already love you.
Oh, so are we done?
Oh, no. Oh, you mean we're good to go?
Yeah.
No, you website. Show us. It's not that easy.
So I was thinking, why after being in business for 25 years, do people not know about Quiltsmart? And honestly, I've been thinking about that for a long time. And I think the answer finally came to me this morning. And I thought it's because we're constantly, growing new quilters. I mean, people are constantly coming into the quilting field and they wouldn't have heard of things before, but they just started. So you're going to always have the audience of the new people that haven't started yet. And that's what I really love to do that. I love to design the patterns, but I also love to teach, and it's especially kids and people who are just getting into it. And it's, quilting is very therapeutic. I'm sure there's a ton of stories out there about that. It has been for me. And it's so nice to hear from people when they've done things like that. And it's just nice. So thank you for sharing, ladies.
Yeah, no problem.
It touches my heart. So all
Maddie,
right. So we are going to move on to the Mondo biddy bag. So, and again, this is a finished biddy bag. I like this one. First of all, I do this to show you how it kind of stays up. It's I've got a cute little square on the bottom. That's easy to do. It cinches up and opens easy, and you can see inside the lining. This is not a hard bag to make, but it looks like it would be hard, kind of like the double wedding. And I like to use this when I travel. Of course, I haven't done much of that lately, but
but when you do.
It's a great little bag to put like makeup in. It's also a nice little lunch bag, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, the big sister of it is the Mondo bag. And I almost decided to finish this. And then I thought, no, this might be a lot better for everybody to see it in not quite done yet. And one thing I wanted to do to this was, I really love things personally like tone on tone. So I wanted to put some embroideries, but I'm not one to do like a wild different color. I like it to blend in, and I sort of like it as a little surprise. You know, somebody looks at your bag and then they notice the embroidery and they go, "Oh, I love that." So I've just added some little embroideries that are sort of a little bit of a surprise when you.
Oh, that's great.
So I've just got one on each rectangle. Now you might say, rectangle, what is that? Okay, so the Mondo bag and the Biddy bag are made exactly the same. They're made from rectangles. And that rectangle is like this. There's one side of it. There's the other. That's the top. And on this, you still have markings, just like we did. We put markings on anything that'll be helpful. So that's where you're going to attach your handles, and that's the top of the Mondo bag. So that would represent this right here, this point right here. And the bottom would be right there. And this just wraps around the bottom, and you can see on the bottom how these 4 rectangles come together. And you can also see that I have some, so there's the bottom of the bag.
Oh, nice.
I have some black there. That's because I have taken a Sharpie marker and marked them 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I changed my mind and I remarked them. Well, and when I finally went to put it together, I'm like, oh, what did I write there? But it all turned out fine. So, and you can see the designs on the back. So that's another thing you can do with our Mondo bag. And again, this was just to give you, some of this is to give you a few tips. This is also the Annie Soft and Stable. Now, remember I told you we had a half a yard of everything. So I use the straps. So this is definitely made with scraps of fabric. And then the Annie Soft and Stable is there. And oh, voila, look at that. I even use the Annie's and zigzag it together. So I'm a big proponent of using what you have. Then you can, you know, you don't have a whole pile of stuff happening. So let's see, what else about this? So, oh, the other thing I wanted to show you is, for me, like, people will say, and I think for you, oh, you'll see another quilter. Oh, what fabric did you go and use? And you go, I don't know. I got it at this store. But you don't really remember what kind of fabric. Well, if you take the salvage edge,
and
stick it into a seam, you've got it. And you can
exactly.
So I like doing that. And the other thing with the salvage edge, I don't think I have one to show you, but you've got your little colors on it. So if you need colors to show, or to go, like, say, buy a background fabric, you didn't get that yet, whatever, use the salvage edge. It's kind of like a paint strip. It has all these little colors on it. Maybe, Lavelle, you could put that together for me, and then we'll show them how it looks. I don't mean you have to sew it. She looked like, whoa. Okay, so that's the Mondo and the Biddy, and there is a little middle size too. And again, if you have any questions about that, let me back up. You fuse the squares to the interfacing, and then you fold on the line, stitch on the line, flip, and go the other way. Super easy. So let me get to the BioGeo then. This is totally different fabric. Okay.
Look at that. So that's Adrienne Lieben's fabric in BioGeo. Look at that.
It's going to be a little crooked as we look at it for how I'm hanging it. That's the 5'2" issue. But we will be able to see it and talk about it like this.
That looks amazing. Nice work.
I think that it's important for the audience to know too that I just made this on Saturday.
Wow.
And that's what you can do.
Now, Maddie, one thing that I think you, if I could mention, and you could also talk about, is that I mentioned to you prior to this that I was actually on your website and I looked at one of your tutorials on how to do it. And I think it's fantastic because you're very close up. The video is very close up to your hands and you can totally see everything that you're doing. So I think if anybody was going to want to try your product, that, go to your website and look at those tutorials because they're very nicely done. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you. And I hope that Lavelle heard you say that, because
Oh, what?
that's Lavelle's doing. I just do what she
Oh.
tells me to do.
Oh, well, she did great and so did you. You both did a nice job.
Thanks. That means a lot to us. So, yeah, we try very hard to get them so that they're really clear. And so this one we don't have out yet because it's, I mean, the video, and we will, but it's it is the exact same process as our 58-inch Lone Star. So you can look at that online and just think of it bigger. Super fast to make this one. And this is what the pack looks like. And in it, you get the 8 panels of interfacing. There's 8 points, 1 panel per point. And what you're doing is you're taking rectangles and you're laying them down on the interfacing. This is where you fuse it first. Oh, let me show you the interfacing too. So you fuse it first, and whoops, let me show you this part here. Okay, so you fuse it first, and in the instructions, we show you exactly where to place this rectangle. You flip it over, you stitch it to another rectangle, not diamonds, and then you fold it, and you start to get this diamond look. And when I teach classes in this, so this is 1 diamond right here, and people will start on 1 row, and they're like, I don't know. They get about to here, and you start hearing, oh, I get it. So just set aside your Saturday, your Sunday, send the kids off, whatever, and sit down and do it. You will do fine with it. And don't worry if any of our products are a little like, I'm not sure in the beginning, because they're not intuitive. They're different, but they are very easy. So this one also has a fussy cut template, and that's how I did this one. So these little curves are the same all the way around. And on Facebook, there is one sort of similar to this with Tula Pinks, black and whites. And it's really phenomenal because the woman who made it fussy cut every piece. So it's really, it's a phenomenal quilt. These ones, the only ones I fussy cut were the big ones. And again, we had the amount of yardage that we asked for in the beginning, which quite honestly, we asked for the double wedding ring. And then we switched because we thought it would be really phenomenal as a big bright star. So we worked with that. And that was really cool. In this pattern, you don't have to inset. You put it.
Oh, nice. Yep.
Fabric come out like that.
Love that. Love that.
We do other things in the background, and let's see if there's anything else I'm forgetting about this one. Just super easy. You know, this woman came up to me at a show once, and she said, "Thank you for all your patterns. I do them, and I bring them to my quilt guild, and I show them to them." And I said, "Thank you so much for sharing this with your quilt guild." And she said, "Oh, I don't tell them how I do it." Okay.
You were like, oh, bummer.
Okay, so out of the scraps, we have a little product called Techie Rest. And I have made one up here. And I want to show you. First, I'll show it to you. This way, and then I will show you what it does. Okay.
Wow, that's cool.
It can hold a little bit bigger one too, or a reader. This one I have stuffed with rice, but I have to say, this fabric, when I first saw it, this fabric was just begging for me to grab my Pigma pens and color it in. And I think Terry said, well, why don't you put it on the back, put a little bit of the color on the back to start. So this is actually has, I think, about 4 or 5 different scraps stitched together to make this. You can't tell, especially with the white fabric there, or the print of it. And then this is, you can hold it with that. You can put a pen in here, something like that. It's like our little gadget cushion, which is really popular, but it's bigger. So you can also put walnut shells in here. You can put a little poly in here. I happen to use all rice. So if you're in a not a moldy area, high, what's it called? High humidity. Yeah, high humidity area, you might think twice about the rice. Okay. So that's our Techie Rest. And that pattern is right here.
I love that. I know many
It is,
people that would
you know,
love
I just think, especially with that fabric, like I can't wait to give this to my granddaughter, because especially with this fabric, if you include, you know, some fabric pens, I just
you
think
can
that,
doodle.
like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like kind of pushes it one step further. Okay,
Right.
grandma could make something for grandkid, but you know, grandkid can actually do something with it.
Right,
So
exactly.
that's what we did with the BioGeo. And before we go, I just want to show you how the Mondo bag looks with the lining in it. What you would do, Lavelle knew exactly what I was looking for, was how it would look, you know, done real. And
Yes.
but what you would do is you would put it right sides together, and the handles you would put first along those little markings that we have there.
Oh yeah. Yep. You saw them.
Super easy. Have the handles inside the bag. Some people have done it like this, but you know, you got to follow the instructions. So it's
Right.
on the outside.
You gotta read.
That's a common sewing error anyways, even with garment sewing.
Right.
So you can see the little kind of subtle embroideries that I put on it.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't, or that have an embroidery machine and don't use it, because it took me a while to open the box, you know, those kind of things take like a year to open the box. And then you open it up and then you look at it for a while. And then you finally start to do something with it. This is a really fun way to get used to your embroidery machine if you're not quite, you know, ready to sink your teeth into it. Put just a little bit of embroidery on something over fabric, and this fabric really lended itself well to those embroideries. So I wanted to show you that and tell you also. Oh,
we have
yes.
a couple of questions. Hold on. I just lost them. Oh my gosh. All right. So if somebody was going to buy a kit, how many, is there one product per kit? So if you buy the Quiltsmart, the big double wedding ring, you can make one quilt, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And that's because the interfacing
Right,
is
exactly.
printed
Right.
for that specific product.
And the same,
Yes.
and the same for the Mondo bag or the techie bag or any of those.
Now that if you buy it, and like let's say you make one Mondo bag, don't buy a pack a second time, because then we have online, we have what we call refill packs, and it's okay, this is for one Mondo bag. You don't need the instructions twice. So if you buy the techie rest, and this has, you can make 4 in here.
Oh, that's
and
great.
That's also shown on the cover is 4 of them. So you make those, and then after that, you just buy it by the panel online like this.
So in other words, you already have the instructions, you just buy a refill, so to speak, right?
Right.
Okay.
And it's only the Mondo bag that we have actually named as a refill. And that's because it in the beginning of the Mondo bag, people thought that you could make a Mondo bag with one panel and it takes 2. So it's kind of confusing to people. So we fixed that, and we call it a refill pack, and it makes one bag. So that's very simple and easy on our website right now.
So right now, of the patterns that you have, which ones do you have refills for? Just the Mondo bag?
Well, that's the only one that we call a refill pack, but you can buy any pattern we have by the panel.
Okay, great.
Any.
All right. And there's no, I know that you showed a ruler. We have a question, is what is the ruler?
This one?
Yeah.
That's the, sorry, want to get the exact right name. It's the Big Bright Star Fussy Cut template. That's my sticker, so I know.
Yeah, I know. You don't want to lose it. This is Maddie's ruler. Don't touch it.
You can see that diamond in it there. And that's the crossbar where you would put it too. Like I did one once that had sheep in it. That was really cute. And I obviously wanted the sheep to be in the right spot. I think a lot of people think of a fussy cut ruler as something that you can use if you want it to be like, if you want to take a sunflower and put like a sunflower here, a sunflower here, and a sunflower here, and boom, boom, boom. And to me, I probably wouldn't really want to do that unless I was looking for a geometric look
Right.
start out. But like I did one Lone Star where the fabric had birds on it, and I just took one fussy cut of a bird and put it in there, and I just love it. So you don't necessarily have to use the fussy cut for every block you have. You can be a little bit creative with that. So the big bright stars that we also have other stars of Lone Star, other sizes. We have a 38-inch. I was going to say, which is about that big, which it is, 38 inches. 58 inches, it's about that big.
Yeah.
And we have a little tiny one called a bitty broken Lone Star. And from that, you can make either 4 little Lone Stars about that.
Oh, I've seen that one. I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different options
Mm-hmm.
with the size of the Lone Stars that you can get. Kind of, it just depends on what you're looking for. If somebody's brand new to it, I'd recommend either the 38-inch or the Big Bright Star, because they're both just a little bit smaller. I think when you're, I went and bite off a, king size quilt when you're brand spanking new. And that's not because it's hard, it just takes longer. And I like people to be able to say, hey, I made this weekend.
Right.
Instead of, I made this over the last, 2 or 3 months.
Take smaller bites is what you're saying along the way and get some success and then just keep going.
Yeah.
Right.
That's more of a general sewing thing, like a table runner, or I just published a cookbook just the other day on Amazon, but that's all got smaller quilt patterns in it, but we do not have the instructions for them yet. It's a cookbook, which if anybody out there actually knows me, they might be laughing right now because I don't cook and I don't like to cook. So I wrote it for people like me who don't like to cook. But that kind of thing has all smaller, like table runner size quilts, and that's a really good size.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Let's see if there was anything else. Oh, one thing I wanted to say too is with the Mondo bag, I love when I travel with these, you can put the little one inside of it and, go, then you get wherever you're going, you pull the little one out. So it's nice that they fit that way. But I think that unless you have more questions, I think
No, I don't have any right now, but I just wanted to make one other comment before we kind of wrap up here. But I was in a quilt shop locally and I saw a woman with a Mondo bag made out of all K fabric. And it was a shop that, primarily carried K fabric and K facet fabrics. And the store owner told me, she says, yep, she comes in a couple of times a year and she just fills that Mondo bag with K fabric. And I love to see her. So it was a really nice bag and obviously holds a lot of fabric.
Well, now that tells me that we need to tell the shops that they have to have Mondo bag classes and tell people to bring their Mondo bags back in and maybe they
fill them up.
Free fat quarter or something and then fill them up.
That's right.
Fill them up and get 10% off or something.
Right, exactly. So they're great. I mean, I've seen your products, in many, many places, Maddie. Very talented, great ideas that you have. Keep them rolling. I did see a question. Somebody asked if you have any new patterns coming. Do you have anything? I'm sure you have lots of things in your head that you're just waiting to get out.
Yeah, too many. That's right.
Yes.
Well, I want to make a real quick point that somebody had asked also about where can you get it in Australia, and I did get to Australia a couple years ago and taught there. It was phenomenal, and this might sound funny, but they taught me Australian, which I know it's English, but there's a few things about having a binge and a cup of tea and a smoko, and they taught me a few of the Australian slang. So that was really, really fun to go there. But what I would do if you're in Australia is either check with your local shop or call Victorian Textiles. They are our distributor in Australia, and then they could tell you who has the Quiltsmart product. You can also order online. We have shipped there. Of course, it does get a little pricey, but no, I would check that out first. But we can ship to Australia too. And then in regards to the other question, which now I've forgotten what it was. New products. Oh yeah, they're like exploding. That would actually be another question that I know we were going to come up with questions.
Well, I think that you should ask both questions. If you remember the other one, if you don't, then I will. Go ahead and ask it.
No, I do. So, well, the question for this would be, I was thinking, well, I love making the quilts, and I know other people do, and I like, and the bags, but are you a bag person or a quilt person? Do you like only make bags, only make table runners? Do you make bigger quilts? And I know that people do, but I wonder exactly what my audience does, I guess, because all three patterns that I showed you, Mondo Bag, well, Biddy's, that's also a pattern, but they're all really popular. But I just wonder, is it bigger quilts that we want, or is it more bags? So when we say, what do we have in mind? We do have some cool things in mind right now. Can't really say too much about them. And I've learned this. I don't mind eking it out once I know it's going to be a pattern, but I've gotten myself in trouble when I've said, oh, we're doing this. And then we get the emails. Well, when?
Right, exactly. I know.
So I can tell you that one of the things is we're doing with the cookbook, we're doing the table runners that are with the cookbook. So that I know for sure.
That's awesome. I love that.
So
yeah,
as a word of promoting the cookbook, my sister-in-law bought a copy and wrote me and said that how did she put that? She said, I was doing the barn cleaning, but I can't stop reading your book. And I said, so it surpasses barn cleaning, right?
I hope so.
You know that.
Anything's better than barn cleaning. So Maddie, I'm going to take you off of Spotlight Video here for a moment, just so that we can finish up. Let me see. So,
and thank you then.
Well, let's stay on for a minute. So if I'm talking, the audience will see me, and if you're talking, the audience will see you.
Oh, okay.
Just going to wrap up here. So one of the questions that Maddie already asked, so we always have a giveaway. So this week we are going to give away, I gotta look at my notes here. We are going to give away, Maddie is generously donating towards this, a Big Fat Wedding Ring pack, a Lone Star pack, and a Mondo Bag pack. And Free Spirit is going to pair fabrics. Yep, Maddie's got them up. Maddie, you show us. But you have to talk or they're only going to see me.
Oh, okay. So here's we set the Mondo Bag pack aside. Here we go. So this is our Mondo Bag pack and our Big Fat Wedding Ring and the Big Bright Star. So,
right.
And these are, they're three of our truly best patterns. So anybody who wins it is going to love it. This is thank you, Lavelle. This is our Lone Star 58-inch Lone Star with the smaller rectangles. This uses 2.5-inch strips, which is pretty cool. So the big one uses fat quarters or just, regular pieces of fabric. It doesn't have to be a fat quarter. This one uses 2.5-inch strips, which is kind of cool. And, well, very cool, I think. And it also has a fussy cut template with it. So I thought you should just see that too. These are the three that are the giveaways. Okay.
Yes, those are awesome, Maddie. Thank you for sharing those.
Yep. And you know what? I'm going to put the ruler with this one, Sharon, too. The fussy cut ruler.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank
you.
Oh
yeah, this one doesn't use a ruler. Okay.
So I just want to also say, so all of those patterns that Maddie just showed, she's going to, Maddie, you're going to send them to us, and then we're going to pair them with some beautiful fabrics and send them to 3 lucky winners. And so we actually have 2 questions this week. One is what Maddie just asked. Are you a quilt? Do you prefer making quilts? Do you prefer making bags? What do you prefer to make? And the other question we wanted to know is, are you a garment sewist or are you a quilter? So we would like to know if you have a preference that way as well. And I actually had one of the quilt that I meant to show sooner, Maddie. This is a quilt.
Oh, yes. Oh, did you guys get our Dresden pattern?
Yeah, this is a Dresden quilt that we had made many years ago for Free Spirit. It's using our solids, and it's really very, very great quilt. We loved how, I don't know if everybody can hear me well while I'm holding this up, but we absolutely love, like, look at, we put 20 different colors in each one of these Dresdens. So, I mean, you can get a lot of fabrics into this. So it's another one of the products that Maddie sells.
This is what the pattern looks like for that. That one in particular was made by Lori McCleary, and it's called Color Spoken Here, which I thought was really cool. So this is how the pattern comes for that. And same thing, you can make up to a queen. You could add more pieces to it. You can add more interfacing, more fabric.
Right,
so
right.
That was hung at a trade show when we were doing.
Yes, it was, and a lot of people loved it, so it was great, and it's still very relevant. So it's a great pattern. So Maddie, I would like to thank you for joining us this week. I'd like to thank everyone else that tuned in this week to join us on our Inspired by Free Spirit. We hope that you enjoy all of these segments that we do. We know that we enjoy doing them for you. Again, this is Kathy Dowdy's fabric that's shipping this month, Earth Made Paradise, and we have Adrienne Lieben, the BioGeo 1, which is shipping to your local quilt shop this month. You can find any of Maddie's products on quiltsmart.com, and you can find anything Free Spirit related at freespiritfabrics.com. And I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in. We love you, and Maddie, we love you, and we'd love to have you back in the future, and hopefully we will. And until next time, keep sewing, keep creating, and have fun. Share everything with us. All right, bye.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Bye.
Thanks, Maddie.